Yes, we are back.
Okay.
We are back, my brother.
Okay.
Life is about making adjustments, and I see you making adjustments.
I am,
because
man.
You're a man who thinks on your feet, no matter what time of day it is. You're always aware.
I try to. There you go.
Yes, brother.
That's cool.
Yes, we're here again. Once again, the weeks are popping by, and I'm glad we're at this point on top of a show. And we did ours last week, and it was excellent. But now this is the one you intend, and you're in shape, in the corner, did the ring walk, ready for battle. And we're battling unseen forces, but it doesn't mean that it's anything to be afraid of, because we're equipped with everything we need to always come out on top. And the knowledge that you share is feeding us to keep us in the mindset to always come out on top. Because the reason why we are attacked as we are, mentally, spiritually, and physically, is because there's something about us that we don't know that your oppressor and enemy knows. And we are the sugar honey iced tea of the world. And we have to know that. And this is why they push us with decadent media. They push us in the indoctrination system to think lower of ourselves and not higher. We have the seeds of greatness in us, and you're here to constantly remind us and encourage us to dig deep, because no matter what your situation, the best is yet to come. And for that, I always thank you for the spirit you have, not just when you're on the show, but I know in your everyday life, you shine your light, a beacon of light, to help those seeds grow. Thank you so much, brother.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? I always say I would want you to be the person that introduced me in anything that I do. That is a brilliant gift you have, brother. And again, as we were speaking earlier, I appreciate all the work you're doing. And it's good to be a trailblazer, because it actually shines a natural light in the direction where we as a people should be going. And I was telling you, now I'm watching a lot more of the events going on in Africa, because our main media, they don't show us that side. So your channel, I got a couple of ones that are actually there in Ghana and a few other places, where I'm seeing some things that they definitely don't show us on TV here, And so, it's a reason why. It's just so amazing when you see it. It's like this energy time is here, and they can't block it. The only thing they can do is try to do what they've always done, find a way to take it away.
Yes.
And again, I wanted to greet you, Brother Lance, and greet the family and anybody under the sound of my voice. I wanted to go back to the eclipse that happened on your birthday, because I believe this was a message, a millennium message that we missed.
Yes.
And the reason we missed it is the reason why we miss everything, is because they have us so inundated with the things that are going on in this existence with them and the things that they're doing, that we don't really see what the real creator is showing us right in our face, because nature has a language. And so today, if you could put that banner up there, man, I tell you, with this talent that you have, not just in the artistic aspect of it, but also in the conceptual aspect of it. Because that's very important too. Like they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words. But the 2024 eclipse was a melanated message that involved the number 3 and sacred geometry. And the reason we know this is, as I said earlier, nature has its own language. You can look at the law of correspondence today and see exactly what we're talking about. It's not just as above, so below, but it's also as within, so without. And so I just want you to meditate on this picture, because most of the power, if not all of the power that we have as a people, comes from our concepts, our symbols, and nature's language. And these are the three things that have been taken away from us by design, because what we have to come to grips with is there has been a millennia generated plan against this power that so actually we are being attacked because of the power that we are attached to. That's what I wanted to say. So they know they can't fight against this power. It's too great. There's no machines that can be created to stop it. So what's the next best thing? The creatures that were created in that image, and that image, it has nothing to do with any physical image. Okay. So today let's talk about why the celestial language and the significance of the number 3, as well as 369, is so important to our existence as a people. And we kind of touched on this last week when we talked about how things happen that we're not really aware. It's right outside of our realm of existence. But when we focus in on the symbiology here, and then we connect it with the celestial language of 3, then we have a clear path or a clear signal to show us the path that we should be traveling on. So as I begin to look into this a little deeper, I saw something that I didn't see before, and that centered around the fact that the earth became dark at a time when it wasn't supposed to. And it took me back to a story that I've told before, how, and by the way, this process is named the circadian rhythm. Okay, and it's our natural rhythm that's in our bodies that has a biological clock that all things, even animals that we say this is instinctual behavior, actually it's not. This is part of the natural sleep-wake cycle, and we'll get into that today. But my mom, she had these plants called 4 o'clocks. So every day, from elementary school, we would rush home to see these 4 o'clock. It was like the highlight of the day, right? And it was just fascinating. And so one day, they didn't actually open till 5 o'clock. And we're standing there looking at each other. I can remember the look on my friend's face. And we was like, okay, what's going on? Did God forget to open the plants at the right time? Every day that, that it happens. And so we just sit there, and my mom just came out with her calm way of talking and saying, no, this nature doesn't respond to man's clock. It responds to God's clock. And boy, it was, and I've had times in my life where it's like a light goes off, and I can distinctly remember that moment. And I was like,
yes.
Wow.
Yeah, we're connected.
Huh?
We're connected. This is something I realized a long time ago, that we may not be able to put it in words, and I know people like yourself can do so. But when you think back, and I'm just picking random years, when I think back in my life, born in 63, I might think back to 1978, the music, the culture, the time, who are my friends at the time, my reality. Then I think at 1983 and 1996, those are not things that are so far back in the so-called past where you have to go back behind 2023, 22, 20. It's right there directly. Those times still exist. We're connected to it, right?
We are.
And they're not dead. It's energy. It's a time. But time as we know it is not the way they told us. There is no time. We're connected to all of that. We're connected to the people who have transitioned. We're connected to the energies of those times that we use the word time, but it's a throwaway word because it's quantum. We're directly related to them, so therefore we never lost. It has brought such calm in my life to know that.
Yes. Yeah. That's a terrific point. In fact, as always, you are leading into the next actual bullet point with what you just said. That is absolutely true. Man creates time because in the dimensions of space, the particles, they come in 3 versions of itself or generations. So it's like these particles of energy, like you were saying, they are always there. We just put them in a spatial time, how we've been taught on a 90-degree angle, right? By design, so that we can't see what you just said, which is so very important to our ways. And also, as I was saying, when we discovered that, okay, even though man can manipulate time and by the clock, which we're not supposed to be actually being led by, and we'll talk about that. You have birds, they fly south based on this circadian rhythm or biological clock. All kinds of things. The earth itself moves by this 24-hour sleep, 25-hour sleep cycle, right? But, and this is inside of us. So what I discovered was, okay, what is the best way that someone can actually manipulate and take away whatever power and advantage you have in your life? And as I start to take a serious look at it, I came up with some real thought-provoking answers, for lack of a better term. But the one thing that the 2024 eclipse did that we didn't see was it actually reset the circadian rhythm. Okay, it reset it based on the power of melatonin. And so as we get further into this topic, what we're going to see is that the celestial language that exists in the universe also exists in us, as within, so without. Okay. And as we begin to look at the various functions in the universe, like we were talking about time and space that we create, but actually it shows that the dimensions of space, that the particles come in versions of itself. So that's why when you have people trying to take claim to something being the authentic truth, unless it has a minimum of 3 variations of that truth, then it's not, it can't pass the smell test of the celestial language. And see, this is what has been taken away from us. So even when you talk about you were born in 63, right?
Yes.
You're looking at the fact that the number 9 is the root of all. Brother, you have a connection. I don't even know. I know that you're aware because you're walking in it. but we've never really talked about it, that the 6 and 3 equals 9.
Wow.
And we're going to see that this particular number 9 is the root of all things in the universe, as well as 3, its lowest denominator, common denominator, and the number 6. And there's an interesting pattern that exists in the universe we're going to talk about surrounding that. So the other thing about these particles that make up this time-space continuum, or what we know as matter, that each version of itself has the same charge and relationship, get this, with the strong, weak, and electromagnetic forces in the universe, the 3 most powerful forces in the universe. So what that's saying is there can't be just one way of, people teaching you about something. That is inconsistent with, and that 2024 eclipse, when you had the 3 elements aligned together, was a reset on our circadian rhythm. And so now that we know that they have the same charge and relationship with the 3 major forces in the universe, we can now look at everything else and judge that based on this. See, our standards have been set by people with a God complex. And we have taken this, okay, and I only use God in that sense that we know it as, or we've been indoctrinated with. But the real language cannot be deciphered the way that they have unless you're able to read celestial language, and you have to have an open pineal gland in order for that to happen. And if you look at that picture Lance has there, which is great, I tell you, brother, you have a talent this world, I was telling you, have to see. And how that sun is coming around that pyramid, okay, and how our people represented the strength of the universe with that mask, and the solar, even the solar energy on the pyramids, the solar panels, brother, that is, but that fire that you see right there, okay, that's what you as a sun person, that is the power you have. And so this is why this celestial warfare that we have going on is outside your realm of comprehension, because you're dealing with the same weapons that they're dealing with when you have the greater weapons. So let's talk about something that's real important. I'll just touch on it because I know a lot of people are concerned about this now. But America's political parties are only 2. And it's a reason for that. Okay. And again, what our people have to comprehend is that every move that has been made, okay, has been made in order to check this power that you have. I'll tell you a good reference for the family to check out. Dr. Anthony Browder's book, Egypt on the Potomac. Very good book. Did some good research with that, and it's absolutely true. And that's one that can actually open your eyes to what I'm talking to you about today. And the reason why there are only 2 political parties, even though, okay, we say we have an independent party, right? But we know that they don't have access to the same people that are financing our 2 major parties. That's obvious, because none of them ever get to play in the game or go to the big dance, as they say. But What would happen is a third party or a third viable candidate would set divine order in motion. And this is called behavioral genetics. Okay. And the language in nature that shows you this is that the germination process, you have to have three things: fertile soil, you have to have H2O, and you have to have sun. And this is the reason why you need to get vitamin D every day. And why, when we were talking in the previous video about the ice mentality, where that comes from. Okay. So actually, and I know there are going to be some people disputing this, but as I said, there's always a minimum of 3 truths to one concept. And you've been taught this dogmatism for a reason as well, because that keeps your, that keeps you in a 90-degree cycle. Okay. But there are actually 4 branches of government. Okay. Now, you have to look at this, because when you're talking about entities that's supposed to be functioning as one body, they're actually in conflict with each other. So you have the executive branch, of course, president. Then you have the Congress, which comprises the House of Reps and the Senate. And see, this is where the technology comes in at, because they're actually, I know the Constitution, I know what it's supposed to do. I'm telling you the actual reality of what happens, that they are functioning as 2 separate entities, although they're supposed to operate as one. Okay, but we're still going to count them as one. So we have the executive branch as one, we have the Congress, which is 2, in the Senate, and then we have the Supreme Court, which is 3. But I'm going to add another one, is Department of Education. Okay, because without the Department of Education, anything else that happens in these 3 branches that I mentioned is going to create a problem. Okay. As Curtis Mayfield said in his song, it's the educated people that are running the lives of our society, holding back the rules, holding back the schools. That's all a part of this. Now, also, when you look at this gives an answer to, it's something we've always known, but again, when we look at it in terms of nature's language, we'll see exactly why it was done. This is the number 3, and the power of the number 3 is why Black families were separated. So the mother, father, child trilogy, or what they like to call the Trinity, which is really the Son. Then this is where this dynamic came into play in order to control the movements. So this also explains why Black male and Black females are always in conflict in relationships, because you have that polarity war, or the number 2. And we're going to talk about that as well. But yeah, that's at the root cause of why Black families were really separated. A lot of it was socioeconomics as well. But then too, when we know that these people consult astrologers, divinators, and so-called people that try to read the knowledge that's innate inside of you. But those people, they can only see certain things. They may know that something is in the frequency, but they don't know exactly what it is or why it is. Okay. So the other thing about this too is you hear people talking about mathematical this and mathematical that, but we did not invent mathematics. We discovered it. or they discovered it. Okay. So the mathematics is the term we give to these functions of 369 that happen in the universe. Okay, and as we were saying earlier, Lance, about your birthday, which is connected so much to this 2024 eclipse.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. These
Skipped
three
around. Yeah.
numbers are the root of all fundamental actions in the universe. And they are the root of all universal wisdom, knowledge, and comprehension. So
Wow.
let me say that again, so people can definitely get Reese is right on the money. That we did not invent mathematics, we discovered it. And when our people discovered this language in the universe, this is when they put these concepts together, right? And they were right on the money. And that these three numbers are the root of all fundamental actions in the universe. I believe Tesla was somebody that lived by this. In fact, they said he would not stay in a hotel room that did not have these three numbers or some derivative of it. And because he knew and was connected to this knowledge. But these numbers are the root of all universal wisdom, knowledge, and comprehension. All frequencies and patterns in the universe and the planet follow a binary code. And this is very important because you remember in the early days of the computer, well, the computer system is really a binary code, right? And I remember the first class I took on it, it was just a bunch of binary codes. But those binary codes became the foundation or the functions, the foundation of the functions of the language, of the software that they use. And see, all of this was taken from our people, and that's why when you see people today that are doing these functions, this is where this knowledge came from. So everything is divisible at its root by 9, 6, or 3, with 3 being its lowest common denominator. All ancient sacred knowledge is expressed by the number 3. This is spiritual geometry, which the pyramid represents. And we go back to the law of correspondence, as within, so without. So, or in this case, as without, so within. So you have this sacred geometry that lives inside the body of melanated people to the extent it lives inside the body of everyone, but it affects melanated people in a different way because of our connection to the sun. And that is the pineal gland, the hypothalamus, and the pituitary gland. And I mentioned this a little bit in the last video, but we're going to go into it a little deeper today. So I want to remind everyone, a vortex is a geographical location where spiritual energy can enter the planet. Okay. And in many cases, the number 3 is used to do this. So we refer to this as vortex math. Okay. And this is a pattern. Now, this is the message to melanated people that we must comprehend. Okay. This is very, very important. Okay. This vortex math, or spiritual math that exists in the universe, has a pattern that it repeats itself through what is known as dimensional energy. Okay, this vortex or math influences the frequency in the universe. Okay, and that vortex math consists of 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, and 5. Okay, I'm gonna read that again. Okay. This pattern that repeats itself through dimensional energy. In other words, we're going to show through the various glands how this is done to affect you. This is the warfare that has always been against you, that we have not been able to break this code. So that's why I decided to talk about this today. But in the universe, this frequency 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, and 5, it affects everything in the universe. Now get this, I'm going to show you your power right now. Okay, so remember in the last video, I made a statement that melanin operates outside of the normal synapses of the brain.
Yes.
Okay, and this is the reason why right here. However, only the numbers 3, 6, and 9 operate outside of this pattern. Okay, I'm gonna read that again. See, now you can connect what's within you to what's out. And this is the warfare at the level. You hear all these people talking about Illuminati and all these other people that have stolen our symbols. This is why this is done, and this is why you're taught this, because this is the only thing that blocks your real power. When you start dealing with celestial language, and you know, they even use, and astrology is fine, okay, but you need to be focused on astronomy, okay, because someone that doesn't have the open pineal gland can trick you with astrology, okay, but that cannot be done in astronomy, because people like Benjamin Banneker, you know, that's something you can't fake. So now you have to ask yourself, if this pattern, this vortex math repeats itself throughout the universe in all dimensions, and it actually influences the frequency of the universe, so why is 3, 6, and 9 not a part of this? See, this is because you are here when the 90-degree functions have you under here, if you guys can see this. When you are supposed to be here, you are the North Star. Okay, that everything in on the planet follows. Okay, when that North Star shows up over the Nile River on August the 8th, our people knew, oh, it was time to plant. It's getting ready. The banks are on overflow. So you need to ask yourself, and then we go with the Dr. Richard King's findings that that melanin operates outside the synapses of the brain. That tells you that right there that you are not supposed to be controlled by that. And so Tesla was right as far as he would not stay in a room that didn't have 3, 6, or 9. Okay. Now these numbers operate outside of this universal pattern for a reason. And this is the power that you have that you don't know about, that I won't say you don't know about it. Most of the things that we talk about, our people have heard somewhere before, okay? Because Black people have this inside of them, and our elders used to talk about it. Well, I'm an elder now, but I can remember they didn't talk about this in depth, but a lot of the things they talked about was connected to natural functions. And so now when you look back at this, now you see, and when we talk about the circadian rhythm, and what I was talking about, the 4 o'clock plants earlier, this is all going to tie into each other. But I believe it was Reese that put up, we're going to go through a little short table, however, real quick. The esoteric hidden knowledge of shapes and sounds, or cymatics, are all influenced by 369. And all of the numbers in this pattern equals 9. So let's go, one of them I left off here, actually is 720. Let's start with 720 degrees. Or, you know what, let's do one better. Let's start out with 963 hertz. Okay, that is what is referred to as the God frequency, right? Okay. 9 plus 6 plus 3 is 18 when it's divided by 9. So we know that 9 is the root number of 18, right? So is 6. So is 3. So you see, no matter where you go in the universe, this pattern is there. So we go to the metaphysical level, 720 degrees. 7 plus 2 is 9. 360 degrees, 3 plus 6 plus 0 is 9. 180 degrees, 1 plus 8 plus 0 is 9. But you've been taught at a 90-degree angle. So that's 9 plus 0 equals 9. 45-degree angle, 4 plus 0, 4 plus 5 equals 9. 22.5 degrees is 2 plus 2 plus 5 equals 9. And 11.25 degrees is 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 5 equals 9. So no matter how you break this down, you're always going to come back to that root, or that 6-3, the year you were born in, Lance. So you got the root in your, and are you alien, man? Are you one of them black aliens? Are you a Netaru or something? Because not only did the eclipse happen on your birthday, your birthday birth year coincides with the celestial language. That is not, I'm not an astronomer, but I guarantee you that that's not common.
Wow. I guess this is why I catch all the flack that I do.
Yeah, that's why. That's absolutely why. And the fact that you're in the 963 hertz frequency is a big part of it as well, or the butterfly effect. So, because you know, that butterfly, when he got to go through some stuff in that cocoon, I mean,
yes, indeed.
That butterfly got to fight to come out, because that caterpillar does not want to change. But you know what's interesting about that too, just a little sidebar here, when I was telling you about how I had to check myself, because I was just looking at it from a physical perspective, but the spirit of that caterpillar is still inside of us, right? So even though you might be a damn butterfly and think you know, whatever, you still have that caterpillar inside of you. And that caterpillar comes in the form of the devices, or the desires that we're subject to. And so that's what that caterpillar existence is still connected to that. But yeah, so, and I wanted to go back to the political part of this in terms of the polarity wars, because when you have that number 2, then this creates the nature of conflicts, okay? Where you have the counterfeit spirits, they use this number. Now, I know a lot of people that deal with numerology, they may have a different, but again, see, we've been taught that it's one truth about something, when we know that it's at least 3, and it could be 6 or 9 as well. So you have to stop thinking the way that you have been taught in education, okay, and all of us has, to not look at the celestial language first, nature's language. So, but we know that this number 2 It's used because we can see the type of debates and conflicts we have here in America and in the people that are supposed to be running our country. They're very selfish. They only think about, the things that they want, that this facade of luxury affords them. And if it means cutting your throat or the people you love's throat, so be it. They'll do it. And that is because they are ruled by this number two. Okay. And when you separate that number two, then you have that one-on-one conflict between individuals, between groups, teams, cultures, and classes. Okay, and like I was saying earlier, these people, they consult these astrologers, the divinators, and the counterfeit spirits who's running them. Because this is the knowledge that they don't want you to regain. Okay, so what they'll say is, and try to act as if they have some kind of spiritual revelation on this, where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I will be also, that kind of stuff. So that's where you get what you've been taught. And that's what I got, what I was taught too. I'm not trying to act like I'm any different than you. I'm just saying that our people have to have the strength now to walk away from these juvenile concepts that have kept us in bondage, spiritually, physically, and mentally. The 3 again. So, but what I learned from David Copperfield, and Lance, I've told you a story before, I ain't gonna go into it, but he was able to make 1,000 people disappear across from us, but they didn't really disappear. He said that he did something to our minds, that they never left, that they were there all the time. And I was there at the show, okay? And to this day, wow. I believe that something from that day happened, that I saw something that normal people don't get to see. That you can be looking at something and your mind can be blocked from what you're actually supposed to see. That is a fact, because it happened to me, and it happened to at least 500 people that were sitting over, well, more than 500 people on the side I was sitting on. He said, when he put us in this trance, with whatever he did with his hands, okay, and that's when I knew that people can use gestures at you, because all he did was something with his hands. And, I guess we blinked or whatever. The next minute, that whole side was gone. And it was at least 1,000 people over there, because it was over 2,000 in attendance that night. So, this is a power that when they consult with these counterfeit spirits, they give to them so that they can do this to you. And they've done a very effective job, I have to say, with our people with this. They've done a very effective job, to the point that they don't even have to do it anymore. They get our people to do it. And that's something, I guess that's what they call the Stockholm Syndrome. They don't even have, now, if you can imagine, and we're getting ready to go into sacred geometry to kind of deal with some of because, the more I see the mental health issue in our community, the people are getting younger and younger. And I'm saying, okay, something is going on here.
Notice that.
Yes, man. And out here it's bad too, bro. It's like, it's just, it is the drugs, but they always want to put it on the drugs, okay? Oh, it's the drugs that no, it's something else going on.
Well, and I feel we've set up like a controlled demolition. Mm-hmm. When you have dynamite placed on a skyscraper, a high rise, and strategic.
Like the World Trade Center?
Yes. Yeah. And I believe the bit of dynamite that sets us up for it is deficiencies, nutritional deficiencies, spiritual deficiencies, emotional deficiencies. We're not being fed as we should. And that sets us up. So when the winds blow of stress, we can't uphold ourselves because we're so weak and deficient. We don't have the proper upbringing. I'm not saying you or I or anybody in particular, but a lot of the youth, they're not feeding on the right things. And they collapse so easily now. Not all, but some. And too many.
Yeah, too many. I agree with you. And man, I'll tell you, you when you're tuned in, you actually lay out the bullet points before I get to the and that's a good thing. But based on what you were saying in sacred geometry, there are three. So when we talk about as within, we're talking about, again, our pineal gland, our pituitary gland, and our hypothalamus gland. And we're going to look at these glands because this is the sacred geometry that our people saw, that they wrote down, okay? In the Medu Neter, they wrote this down. You know, you can call them hieroglyphics or whatever you want to call them, but they did not use words because words can be misleading based on several factors, okay? Who's saying the words? Who's using the words? What context is it being used in? Who is the source of this information? Okay, or where did they get this information from? And more importantly, why are they motivated to express this information? But when you look at the celestial language of our people, then we clearly see what is going on with us. So let's talk about these three, and we're getting ready to introduce the primary element that's involved in who we are as a people, and that is the circadian rhythm, or that's the word that they give to it. Okay, so first, the pineal gland, okay, is the tiny gland in the middle of our brain that helps regulate your body's circadian rhythm by secreting the hormone melatonin. Let me read that again. This is the fundamental aspect of you, your existence, how you interpret and comprehend things in this world. That when your pineal gland is open, then it helps to regulate your body's wake and sleep cycle, that 24-hour cycle that has been under attack of our people. And we're going to talk about that in a second. But it does this, helps to regulate this by secreting the hormone melatonin. Okay, and this is too is at the root of why you're hated so much. Okay, so let's talk about the pituitary gland. Okay, and these three make up that pyramid, right? Like that. And the main function of the pituitary gland is to produce and release several hormones that help carry out important bodily functions, including growth, metabolism, how your body transforms and manages the energy from the food you eat. Now, see, this is very important right here. And some people need to really grasp what I'm saying here about the pituitary gland and its function inside of us. Okay, we know that the main function of this gland is to produce and release several hormones that help carry out important bodily functions, including growth and metabolism. Lance, you know how important metabolism is.
Yes.
And how your body transforms and manages the energy from the food you eat. And that's why it's so important what you eat. Okay. And we also know one of the serious disorders of the pituitary gland that our people suffer from is diabetes. Okay. That is one of the most devastating diseases that our people suffer from. And I say this also was by design. Okay. Because this area of your body has been attacked. Because when we were on the plantations, we had to eat chitlins. We didn't have no choice. Either that or you die from starvation. Okay. To this day, I can't stand the scent of smelling, because they had to clean out the bodily waste out of the intestines, right? And then they had to, now imagine giving people that to eat every day. So this is how this process too was pat when they started poisoning our people. And even at that point, when they were poisoning our people down through our genetic bank, look how strong our intestinal fortitude was to reject that, right? But there was, you know, a symptom of it that we, unfortunately, it became a part of our bloodstream, where the diabetes takes a hold of our people. It also controls sexual maturation, reproduction. Get this, blood pressure. This is why so many Black people have high blood pressure. And we're going to talk about why, when we get into the circadian rhythm or your sleep wake cycle, we're going to see why we have this mental illness, why we have this, you know, where some people are actually out of alignment, okay, with the universe and with nature and your natural selves. Okay, and we're going to look at how this affects us on the ground. Okay, the circadian rhythm, okay, which comes from the word circa, I believe it's Italian, which means about or around, and diem, which means day. So the circadian rhythm, or our wake sleep cycle. Excuse me, I'm still a little groggy myself today. I didn't get much sleep. But before the light bulb, humans rose with the sun, right? And they worked until dusk and then went to bed. They went to bed when the sky grew dark. So imagine, so you see that sun coming from behind the pyramid. I love that. This is the real creator. This is who all beings on the planet look to. Okay, before these narratives were written for you, okay, this is how we interpreted life. Okay. So we see this sleep wake cycle was determined by the movements of the sun. Did you get any of those visuals I sent to you, Lance?
Say it again.
Did you get any of those visuals I sent to you? The one or two I sent to you?
Well, there was a drawing that you had.
Yeah,
I
but
saw.
you did a good.
Let me check.
Okay,
yeah,
check that other one, because that one kind of breaks down our sleep wake cycle. I can show it.
Okay.
And I'll just keep talking about it.
Yeah.
But
and when I get it, I'll come back in.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. So this sleep wake cycle is the most important thing that has to do with your existence right now. Okay, and it's inside of you You have a biological clock that has been manipulated for a reason. But nature designed our bodies to function best by this sleep-wake cycle that's controlled by sunlight. Okay, the body's master clock, which is a cluster of cells in the brain that regulates nearly every bodily function, get this, is ruled by the hour cycle of sunlight and darkness. Now let that sink in for a minute. So, in fact, I've heard this has been used as a form of torture where you keep people up, you know, all night and all morning, and they're unable to sleep. And there are all types of things that can happen as a result of this, negative things. But I want to read that again. So this will kind of sink in with this statement that I made, that you're out of alignment with nature, okay, and your natural selves. That we actually rose with the sun, and then we worked until the sky grew dark. And that is how nature designed our bodies to function the best. Okay. And that body's master clock that exists, however, in all, it doesn't just exist in the cluster of the cells in the brain. Okay. We see this like in the plants. I think it was I know there was a study done where they had this plant in the dark, and they cut on light, and something, the plant actually opened at the time it was supposed to open before the light even hit it. So we know that biological clock, we may not want to call it biological with plants, but at the same time, that same function that you call instinct, we know birds, you know, their flight patterns are determined by that. But even though you may, you know, use different terminologies or narratives for it, we know that everything that exists here, it was copied from nature. And if you look at the parrot, which was the first audio-visual system on the planet, we can clearly see that you even copied from birds, okay? So this is how nature designed us, okay? And this regulates every body function, and it is ruled by the hour cycle of sunlight and darkness. Now, and when I first became aware of how deep this was, and I used to sit out and wait for the sun to move in different positions, I didn't even look at my watch. I would spend like a half a day just going off of what the sun is doing. You know, I would be going through my everyday things that I'm doing, and I wouldn't even be aware of this clock. I would just watch the sun. And it was a different effect. But we see how important this circadian rhythm is, this wake-sleep cycle. This is the thing that controls every aspect of our life. Now let's look at the hypothalamus gland. The hypothalamus gland, and Lance, this is why the hypothalamus gland is so very, very important to melanated people. And you were talking about, when we were talking about how the mental health cases are getting younger and younger, how our young people just seem to be so caught up into so many different things, that they attack the hypothalamus of melanated people. And the reason they do that is because they attack all three of them. We'll put it this way. But one of the main reasons they attack the hypothalamus is that it acts as the body's control center. Okay, the body's control center. It's different from the pineal gland, which is, connected to celestial symbiology and astronomy and, the things in the universe. But this is within us. That's why we know the same forces that are out there are also inside of us. Okay, but this control center, it keeps it in a stable state or homeostasis. Okay, and that is very important for the body. Okay, and this is extremely important, and this is why they continue to attack our people to keep them out of this state of homeostasis. Okay, also, it controls the hormones that control body temperature, appetite. We talked about growth, memory, even the hormones that are released. It controls which ones, how many. Fluid balance, salt and water, sleep-wake cycle, your mood, your sex drive, thirst, and even milk production, okay, from the breast of women. So you see, the hypothalamus is so very, very important to our existence. And this is why you're attacked with all these uploads. Okay, it cuts into this sleep-wake cycle. One of the things too, okay, so it receives signals from other brain regions, and then it releases hormones that act on the pituitary gland. So you see, it actually acts on the pituitary gland as well. Now, there are some interesting things about what interrupts this sleep-wake cycle. And we know that blue light, okay, is designed to stop the secretion of melatonin. You shouldn't be looking at any device between midnight and 5 o'clock in the morning, because that blue light is inside these devices. They hide they might hide the tint from you, but it's actually better to have some type of red light or smoke light in your room rather than blue lights, because we know as a fact that blue light is designed to stop the secretion of melanin. Now, this is important in the daytime, okay, when you're supposed to be secreting serotonin. Okay, that is when that's important. But as soon as that sun goes down, you need to stop dealing with blue light, period. Okay, I have a red light somewhere on. Yeah, so when you see, everywhere you see in our society, they have these blue lights. It's for a reason. They have them up on poles. You know who have them up on poles in our community. These blue bulbs and lights, even though they may have cameras in them. And then, the blue lights, from my understanding now, is they can hide the tint behind something. So you may not be aware that the blue light is affecting you when it is. The other thing that's very, very important about the hypothalamus gland is that it significantly impacts our emotions. Okay. And it does this by acting as a central hub that translates emotional signals into physical responses. Okay. Let me say that again in case you missed that. that it significantly, and this is what happens to our people, regardless of what the issue is, it significantly impacts our emotions by acting as a central hub that translates emotional signals. In other words, it receives it, and then it actually turns it into, or translates it into, physical responses by controlling the release of hormones like adrenaline. This is why Black people are kept so hyped up. Cortisol, oxytocin, and suppressin. Oh, that is that blood pressure. Ah, that is what she meant by that. You know, a couple of years ago, I was talking to a nurse friend of mine, and she mentioned this term concerning blood pressure. This hormone, that they have medication specifically designed for that, how they attacked us in the medical industry. But this directly influences our feelings of stress, pleasure, bonding, and overall mood depending on the situation. It bridges the gap between our brain's emotional processing and our body's physiological reactions to these emotions. So, you know, this eclipse, okay, brother, I can get back on. This eclipse was the signature message, okay, to melanated people, that your wake cycle, okay, time or rhythm has been reset. And that's very important, because you are supposed to sleep in darkness, okay? You're supposed to sleep in darkness at least for 5 hours. And that the maximum time between 12 a.m. and 5 a.m. when melatonin is being secreted. Now, we know that there are many, many advantages of melatonin. But I just wanted to touch on that today, because when you look at yourself and you look at the cycles that we've been through, and you can go back and you can trace our movements here in this country, and you'll see this number 369 emerging in terms of critical events that took place here on Turtle Island, as well as the motherland. I was going through the events there in the timelines, and boy, it's amazing. You know, we're supposed to be more in tune to the universe. Oh yeah, that's not the one though. That you did a very good job with the cover there, and that was the intention that I wanted to give with that picture. Yeah, and how as within, so without, where you see the sun, the tree from germination, and then you see the H2O without, or in nature, and then you see the sacred geometry that we just went through inside of us. And why is this so very important? That the people that are manipulating this and the sorcery that they're using is centered around this sleep-wake cycle. More and more Black people suffering from insomnia. This actually raises your blood pressure. And, you know, when you are properly dieting as well as properly sleeping, then you find a balance, a homeostasis. But the uploads are intended to attack these areas using your own body, or the things you put in your body, okay, and the things you allow to come into your existence. This is all a part, because you see, that this power is so great that if you just had a third of it to manifest, it would start to set things in motion in your favor. But, again, I remember something Dr. Miles Monroe used to say, rest in power, that a bunch of sheep led by a lion will get more results than a bunch of lions led by a sheep. And this we can look at it in terms of its literal meaning, but there's a greater meaning behind this as well. When you look at the breakdown of our connection with the sun, we clearly see this. And so it's like you're diluting your own power. There was a time when others controlled this, but now we have full control over it. Our actions have got to, our behavioral genetics is out of alignment with the universe. And so, again, there is natural karma. So when and I often make this statement where this is what keeps religious people, bound up, for lack of a better way of saying it, is that when you're out of touch with the real creator-creatrix spirit, it keeps you in a unnatural state. You're not, stabilized, a homeostasis. Because what's inside of you is greater than the narratives that you've been taught. So even though you're gonna, and that's why I like to listen to the old Negro spirituals, because it wasn't it was the religions, the teachings, but this was something inside of them. And when I'll recommend a book. It's called Souls of Black Folks. When you realize that this was something birthed inside of our people that had a connection with something greater than what they were experiencing physically, then you begin to see this power and why they're so afraid of it. And so with that, brother, I think I'll end the show today. And next week, we're going to continue to look at the ways and come up with solutions. We pretty much know, okay, the source of the pain. It's like when you go to the hospital, and I often say this, they're not going to diagnose you with the chart of another person and their family history. They have to look at your medical chart and your family history to determine the source of this pain or whatever it is you're dealing with. Okay. So the sooner we decide to start looking at our real selves and not just looking at it, and I wanted to connect. I saw some of the beautiful garments that they had in this store that, it was fascinating. And so when I was working in Oakland last weekend, they have the market set up, with all these talented brothers and sisters out there. And this brother was like, he got this talent from his mom. She used to stitch stuff. And now I said, yeah, brother, I can support that. Even though it was a little, I knew I could get it a little cheaper in the city, but if you could find it in the city. But, it's not always about the fiat, okay? It's about helping our people that, he ain't out there kicking nobody's door in putting those gun in nobody's face, trying to take something from somebody, and we have to learn to respect that. When we see our vendors out there, a corporation is nothing but vending. See, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Okay. And so we have to begin this process now, in our cocoon experience. We have to begin this process to first look at the real teacher. Nature's our greatest teacher. We have to begin there. And we can't, you know what I mean? We can't continue to walk down this path we're walking down. But we have to look at nature for what it is. It is our greatest teacher. The things that exist in nature should be taught to our children. And, it's important that we continue, to look to nature for answers with the issues that we're dealing with. Remember, as above, so below. These laws are in the universe for a reason, for us to live by, and also, we've been taught that a mountain in front of us, it causes fear, and impossibility. And also with valleys are an opportunity. Okay, it's a testing. So we have to get back to how nature teaches us, because clearly what we've been taught is not working. It's not working. Let's be honest about this. If we go back 100 years or even 50 years, it's just not working. With it's conflict after conflict, because we know that this is what's used in order to keep things in a chaotic, or to remove the homeostasis aspect of how you're supposed to function. This is why all this chaotic behavior, all this inhumane behavior exists and is expressed, and it'll continue to do that. And it doesn't matter how much energy you give to it. In fact, you got to suck the balloon out of it, because this is what I believe, that the vampiric spirit lives off of this energy. Okay, and the minute it's cut, then this is why all these rituals are used to evoke certain responses. So, Brother Lance, in the show here,
Yes.
and look forward to checking out some more of your videos. Yeah, there were a couple of them that were really good. I like, all of them are informative. And the fact of the matter is, we have to keep dealing with these subjects, because it's like this attack against us has turned up so high.
Yes.
And if we continue to look at what the issues are that affect us and deal with solutions, that would do more to move us along,
right,
in terms of keeping us, stifled. Because right now, I guarantee you, if I turn on anything, there's going to be, but there is an energy now that exists with our people, that now, with people like you leading the charge, that they're fighting back. And that's a good thing. You have to fight back. There are going to be some kickback as a result, but you have the right as a human being, to stand up as Bob Marley says, stand up for your rights.
There you
All
go.
right. Peace and love, brother. I told you I got my Ghana hat.
Yes, I see.
Yeah, you know, you don't see very much of these here, but, you know,
right.
Yeah, I'll be flexing it. You know, maybe next week I'll have a rooster back. But yeah, brother. So keep doing
Yes,
what you're
brother.
doing, man, and I'll be in touch with you again soon.
Oh, please do. It was enjoyable and informative, brother. Thank you so much. Thank you
Yes,
so
sir.
much.
Thank you.
All right. Peace out. Thank you, everybody, for coming on in to another show that we got under the belt. Very informative. I didn't get a chance to really acknowledge everybody. Reese, Renee Green, Giant Gain, Kelly Land, We Will. Thank you for coming on in. And we have a lot of great plans really soon. And I kind of leaked some video to some choice individuals, and they see that the best of the past and the best of the present, as well as the future, which is here. No longer at this time do I say, well, the future one day. No, the future is now. These days that we're living, these days that we're in, we understand the opposition of what's out there. We understand what's going on in the world. But for us right now, we have to generate from within and make these things happen in our life. We don't have to stand around like we're waiting for the red light to change. There's always something to do. If something gets in your way and blocks you, there's other avenues and other roads to go down. And there's always a way out. Like I say, I don't like to use the word problem, but I use it in this case. Every problem has a solution. Every single problem has a solution. It just may be where you can't see it right now, but the solution is there. Sometimes it takes you to move left or right to see the opening, as I always compare life to boxing. The opening may not be in front of you. You might have to step to the right or the left of your opponent, and then you'll see it, but you have to keep an open mind. Now is the time for progress more than ever before, even if it's slow, even if it's a little smaller than we thought, but never get discouraged. Take a step back. Some days you need to step back and take a day or two off to recalibrate, but then we can move forward. Sometimes even if you take 2 steps back, I'm not advocating to always step back, but sometimes when you do, you'll see the opening to take 10 steps forward. And therefore, you'll always be moving forward, even when you move sideways, because it's all about strategy, long-term strategy. Sometimes we get beat down in a temporary battle. It doesn't mean we're going to lose a war. We have to have the mental fortitude, the spiritual strength, and the drive, which means we have to take care of ourselves mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally, and recharge. And that's what I've been doing as I move forward. But the best is yet to come. Nothing's going to defeat me, not because I'm so bad, but I'm connected to something that is bad, ultimately, meaning good. Talking street slang, I'm bad, and what's behind me is bad, and y'all are bad too, meaning good for those who don't understand the lingo. So we never give up. We're going to keep on pushing forward, and we're going to make sure that everything is all right. Anyway, I'm going to sign off now. I've been uploading a lot of old shows. People they haven't seen in a long time, as I do my work on other levels that will come around. And December is going to be very progressive. Let's finish up this 12th round again with boxing. There's 12 months in a year. There's 12 rounds in a boxing match. Let's start out strong. Let's finish strong. Let's keep the middle strong and maintain the lead all throughout the whole year. So I'm ready to jump on 2025. Right now, I'm beating down 2025. We don't have to wait for that time to come. It's right now. And I'm going to start out strong, and we're going to keep moving forward. And I just want to inspire people is the same way they've inspired me. And there's a lot of you out there that keep a good word in my ear and keep me fired up. And we're going to be stronger than ever before. Trust and believe that. Anyway, much love to you all. LanceScurv out. Take care. And we're coming back for more. Peace. Hey, look, interesting.